Okay, hello everyone. So I've not been feeling so well lately, so I've sort of fallen off my reading. This has been sort of the past week. It's exam season um, at university, so I've been procrastinating that, and so yes, that means that I've not been reading. It usually is like that, you know. You fall off on one end, you fall off on the other. Such is life. But I want to tell you what I've been reading recently. The first book is The Big Sleep by Raymond Chandler. This is a noir. Very interesting, laconic, fast-paced, witty, you know. It follows Philip Marlowe and his adventures and misadventures. He tries to solve crimes under the radar of the police, trying to dip in and dive in between mobsters and gangsters. No, this book, I liked it. Wasn't top tier, but it was definitely enjoyable. And I could feel sort of his wit sort of bubbling up sometimes. It's there. It's not just a thriller, not just a noir, but you have something else. There's a little bit of acidity there that you can feel, which I liked. Next, we have the Metamorphoses by Ovid. This is a Steve Donahue recommend, and I even have his famed Horace Gregory translation. Of course, I did not. This was just the one that I had, which was really lucky. I didn't go out and test them all. So I actually don't know if this is the one I prefer, but I like it. This book is about, or this poem is about change in all its ways, in all its forms, in all the meanings of the word. And it really, what I liked about it was just the way that it goes from story to characters, weaving in and out, frame story, people talking about stories, people talking about people, and then zooms in, zooms out, and you get this form mirroring the function. You have this change on a literary level, right? You're changing from scene to scene, character to character, but you also have this literal change. You have these people turning into animals, and really what this all amounts to in the end as a reading experience is just you being sort of caught up in this surging wave of change. And this is what I sort of felt towards the end of the book. I was like, this was just one big wave that I was riding. Because you never really get to know the characters. More than, of course, a couple pages here and there. The thread is not one character that goes through. Maybe the gods, I guess you could say. But it's more that the thread of it all is that everything changes, that all of the characters transform into an animal, into a river, into whatever. So I really like that. I also thought it was interesting how at the end he ties it in. He ties it into Julius Caesar, because I think this was written under Augustus's reign, so he has to make it a little bit patriotic in that way. But yes, thank you, Steve Donahue. Then I read Blood River by Tim Butcher. This is a book about Tim Butcher's reenactment of Henry Morton Stanley's travel down the Congo. Henry Morton Stanley, you might know, was the person who found Dr. Livingstone, said the erroneous or perhaps fanciful phrase Dr. Livingstone, I presume. It was gripping, actually, really gripping, really moving. He travels down the Congo, and it's a destitute place. At this time, I think he wrote it in 2003, but he did the voyage in the early 2000s at least. And I mean, what I found interesting was just before he embarked on his voyage, people were telling me he was crazy. Like, this is not something you want to be doing. This is a very, very dangerous place. And yet he did it anyway, and he came out of it with a great story. Not only a story, but he interweaves history into his travels. And so you get to learn both about the places he's visiting in vivid detail, but you also learn about the history of the post-colonial tragedy of the Congo. And yeah, just how it's continually abused by everyone, basically. It's so rich in resources, and yet it cannot reap the rewards of what it owns, what it has. So I really like this book, and I'm looking forward to reading more African books about just the African continent. I also just like travelogues in general, I think. I have some Bruce Chatwin lined up, so maybe that'll be good. Next, I read Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. This is John le Carré's first novel in the Carla trilogy. John le Carré is my dad's favorite author, so I thought I wanted to give one of his other books a try, and I really, really like this book. I have read one other le Carré novel. It was, what's it called? A Perfect Spy. I like this one more. That one is more, I think that's a book that you read once you already have some le Carré novels under your belt. But this did it for me. It was really good. It's basically a spy novel. George Smiley is this. He's just retired or being sort of laid off the service, the circus as it's called, but now he's working on the outside trying to find out if there's a mole that Carla, his Russian counterpart, is orchestrating from the inside. And so really this book builds to this huge web, this knot of lies and deceit and betrayal. And I don't even know if I understand it completely. Like, it's a really complex web of lies. But in the end, what grounds you are the characters. And they just feel so real. And so that's why I thought it was really, really effective. I think I now understand why spy thrillers are so good at capturing this multi-layered. Like, not only do they capture the intimate, the personal, but they also can capture like Cold War like drama, on the nation scale. So it's the fact that it can do both is incredible to me. Then I read Emily Wilson's translation of The Odyssey by Homer, as if you needed to know it was Homer. I thought it was good. I don't think I loved it because I'm not sure why. I have a hypothesis, which is that somehow I don't think I thought in the beginning there's a lot of scenes throughout the book when, for example, Odysseus is weeping. He's weeping, and I thought that was a bit melodramatic. I was like, why is he just keeps weeping? Like, why is he bawling all the time? But then towards the end of the novel, I was like, wait, hang on. Just think about this for a second. Like, he has been at war. He is, sieged Troy for 10 years. Then, on his way back, it takes another 10 years, or I think it's 10 years. Of course, he's seen his friends die. He's been attacked by monsters. He's almost drowned. He's been kidnapped by the gods. Like, of course, he has what we would now call like PTSD. Of course, like, this is obvious. Of course, he's weeping all the time. He's just completely. He's a mess. He's a mess. And so I think by the end of the novel, I realized that. So, yes, I also like the ending. That it's not like a nice bow tie. It's not completely rounded off. That it sort of doesn't really end. The gods just come down and say, stop fighting. But Odysseus still has this prophecy to fulfill, which will be fulfilled in a foreign land, far away, in a distant language, or I can't remember exactly. But yeah. So it's like his Odyssey never really ends. And I like that. I will say I want to try another translation because I'm not sure Emily Wilson was for me. But this was the one I had, so I give it a shot. Maybe I want something with more grit. But maybe that's just me yapping. Then, to the books I'm reading right now. I'm reading Lolita by Nabokov. I didn't realize this would be such a thriller, but it really is. And just the way that he grips you with such sensual language. And on the one hand, you're sort of it's beautiful, but on the other, it's obviously like the subject matter is disgusting and just horrible to think about. And in a way, of course, he's humanizing Humbert Humbert in a way that is deeply unsettling, but also, I mean, he is equally as trapped in his body and his thoughts and his desires as we are. It's just that his desires are cruel and horrible. But he can't escape it more than we can escape our desires, our bodies, our thoughts. So, I don't know, it's, yeah. It's really engaging, it's thrilling, but it's also deeply unsettling. Beautiful, but unsettling. Then we have Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. I think I've really not read a lot of this, but this is, to me, this feels a bit. I want something that's more in depth in one area than a big novel going a bit surface level-y across a lot of subjects. So, I mean, I like anthropology, but this feels maybe a bit too pop anthropology for me. But we'll see. Maybe I'll like it, and I'll end up liking it. So, yeah. I mean, I really like the intersection of, for example, anthropology and linguistics. I've read a bit about that. So maybe this will lead me on, introduce me to some other areas that I'm also interested in. We'll see about that. But yeah, so this was my little reading update. Yes, and hopefully I can continue my reading, get back into the swing of things. So yes, ka-chow.